This is my garden party story. I get here for the first, week or so I'm living in my car. I have a place to live. I came here with I think $400 and a car full of shit. So I get here and I'm checking Craigslist. I'm a big Craigslist fiend for, anybody that's got a job, that's got a gig that I can, stay in and live with. And I come across this ad. And I've heard people talking, I went to a couple auditions, I heard people talking, yeah, you want to get in to be a personal assistant with somebody. I'm like, okay, perfect, a personal assistant, right on. Scrolling through the ads, personal assistant, Hollywood Hills, it sounds way too good to be true. I'm like, all right, perfect. This is perfect. I'm going to land this. I'm going to get on it. It's going to be great. So I go, and I call up the dude, and I'm like, hey, dude, what's going on? This is my resume. I emailed to him. He's like, oh, yeah, everything looks really good. I know you've never personal assist before, but, it's cool. Come on by. We'll talk. I'm like, okay, great. So I come on my office. I'm like, okay, great. So everything sounds legit, right? So I hop in my car with all my shit, and I start driving. And I call him, like, hey, where's your office at? He goes, it's off DeSoto, and I still don't even know where DeSoto is. I've been here a year and a half. It's off DeSoto, off the 101. I'm like, okay. So I'm driving, and he goes, yeah, by the way, I'm at my sister's house right now. My office is being renovated. I was like, oh, all right, whatever, it's fine. So I get there, and I pull into where his sister lives, and it's a nice house. It's not like, mansion or anything, but it's cool. And he opens the door. Do you care if I stand? Is that cool? So dude opens the door, right? Opens the door. How you doing? Chonies, t-shirt. That's what he's wearing. And I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? I'm Chris, and I'm wearing a suit, a nice thing, a tie, slacks, dress. So I'm like, hey, what's going on? I was all, you're not dressed. He's like, oh yeah, no, I just got done working out. I was like, oh, okay, cool, I was in the service, so it's not like a big deal for me to see guys, half, without clothes on, so it's whatever. So, he's like, yeah, come on in, I'm gonna put some pants on. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So we go in, the house is really dark, it's kind of like dingy, kind of dark. And we go in there, and he puts on some shorts, and he's like, I'll step into my office, and open up into his bedroom. And I'm like, all right. So I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, where's your office at? And he goes, it's being renovated. I'm just like, oh, okay, so you're working out of here. I mean, he had a computer set up, his desktop, all of his stuff out, paperwork out, some files and shit, a whole bunch of Post-its on the poster board. And it looked really, like he had something going on. And I figured, whatever, this is LA, people go through a lot of shit. It's being renovated, whatever. He's starting off. And it was like, this is what I got going on. I'm a personal assistant, or I need a personal assistant. I manage music artists. I manage, start naming off all these names, 50 Cent, all just big old huge name people. I'm like, oh, that's great, perfect. Well, I'm an actor. This is what I'm trying to get into. I need some kind of flexible. He's like, oh yeah, no problem. So he's sitting there. He wants some water. Sure, I love some water. So he goes, gets some water, comes back, and he starts sipping on his. And maybe like a half an hour goes by, and he's talking like, yeah, I need to get you on my business account for my, my FedEx, so you can ship stuff. My business account for this, that, and the other. And I'm taking hella notes. I mean, I'm a note fiend. I'm just like, yeah, sure. What's your account number? He's giving me numbers. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I'm taking everything down, and he goes, is it hot in here? And I'm like, yeah, it's hot. So he's just careful to take my shirt off, and I was like, it's your place, man. Do what you gotta do. So he takes the shirt off, and I'm like, all right. So I'm still, I'm not seeing this because being, fresh to LA, I'm like, okay, I know there's weirdos in LA, but, whatever. This is the dude's house. I'm not gonna, whatever. So I'm taking notes. I'm doing my thing, and he starts kind of like, he's like, starts touching himself, not like himself, but like, he's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, man, so where was I at again? And he's kind of forgetting about shit, and I'm like, you were talking about your business account for this and what my daily Monday through Friday would be. And he says, okay. And he starts naming off some more shit, and I'm writing down, and then I'm looking around, he's kind of pausing to think, I'm looking around, my environment, which I should have done when I first got in there, and I'm looking around, I see, a little bag of Coke, some stuff, or some white powder, I don't know what it was, but he had some lines out, so I'm assuming it was Coke. Not that I know anything about that, because I don't. Okay? But, he had some stuff out, and I was like, all right, people do drugs, whatever, and you're in the industry, so I guess it's hand in hand. I don't know. I'm new. So, I'm sitting there, he's taking notes, I'm taking notes again, and then he goes, do you feel okay? And I was like, yeah, why? And he goes, well, I gave you a G-swirl. And I was like, excuse me? He goes, I gave you a G-swirl. And I was like, what the fuck is a G-swirl? And he was like, well, there's a little GHB in your water. And I didn't drink a lot of water, He's like, yeah, how do you feel? And I was like, I feel fucking fine. Did you put some shit in my water? I told him beforehand that I had 7 years sober from drugs and alcohol, which I still do. Good for me. And he's like, he said, what did he say? He said, oh yeah, no, my bad, I forgot. It's just in my water. I was like, oh, okay. All right. So I'm sitting there, I'm getting really uncomfortable now because he's telling me this shit, and then he's got his shirt off, and I'm trying to be really serious about taking notes, and he goes, it's getting really hot, and I was like, okay, whatever. He's, are you hot? No, I'm cool. And I'm sitting he's on his bed, right, and I'm on the floor, just kind of chilling in a little corner, doing my thing, and he goes, what did you do? He goes, hold on a second. He goes in the bathroom, comes back out, and he's got lotion in his hand. I was like, okay, whatever. And he has a little bit, does one of these right here, and puts his hands down his pants. And he's doing one of these, just kind of, stroking himself, right? And I'm like not looking, I'm like this, and I can catch him out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, all right, is there anything else you need from me, to do? And he's like, no, hold on a second. And he starts hiking his pants, and I'm like, you know what, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I get up, and I go to the bathroom, and I'm getting ready to split, and I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And I go to grab my keys, and they're in the room. So I was like, shit. So I take a minute, splash my face with water, and, go to open the door, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm just gonna get my keys, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna split, and this is gonna be it. It's a horrible experience. I open the door, and there dude is sprawled out, butt naked, jerking off. And I'm like, okay! I was like, alright, dude, I gotta go. I was like, this ain't cool, I don't know what she was like, hold on, and he finishes. And he called me like 2 days later, he's like, hey, did you want to come by for a second interview? I was like, no, man, I'm good.